Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. This is the post-fight review for the Olympic final in the super heavyweight division. You had Bakhodir Jalolov facing Richard Torrez. So this was the gold medal match, and it was won by Bakhodir Jalolov in a very back and forth and competitive fight, which I thoroughly enjoyed. So we'll go through some of the action and then a few thoughts. So this was a rematch from a couple of years ago when Bakhodir Jalolov stopped Richard Torrez in 2019 at the World Championships. And here is actually a brief clip in the bottom left corner of that knockout. It was pretty brutal, and I really haven't seen much of Torrez since, although from this fight and what I've seen in the Olympics so far, he is vastly improved from that performance of a few years ago. So Jalolov, the older of the two by 5 years, 27 years old, out of Uzbekistan, and Torrez, 22 years old, out of the United States. Bakhodir Jalolov, clearly the much bigger man, 6'7", about 240 pounds, and the height and the reach, it was key in this fight for him. But he didn't have it all his own way, and he really had to sort of find the range, find his timing, and that first round, it was tough because it was a very back and forth affair. And Torrez, he did land the more eye-catching shots in that first round. There was a left hand, and bear in mind this is two southpaws who were facing each other, a left hand that visibly rocked and backed up Bakhodir Jalolov. And there have been some questions about Jalolov's chin in the past. He has been stopped before. But in terms of that round, Torrez, he nicked it on the judges' scorecard. So the 5 judges, it was 3-2. So from there, it was all on Bakhodir Jalolov to really step it up and try to make a mark on this fight. And he did. Round 2, much more intensity, and he landed multiple left hands that backed up and at times hurt Richard Torrez. And Torrez, being the much smaller man, it was really on him to try to come in sniping. He was throwing sometimes some pretty just, speculative shots, swinging away, lunging in. But he was also getting away some nice work, some good counters. He was looking for that counter on Jalolov. But Jalolov, the better of the action. And there was one left hand that landed from Jalolov, and the ref gave a standing 8 count. That round on the judges' scorecards was 5-0. Third and final round, not as entertaining as the second. Probably out of the 3, it just sort of dropped off a bit. There was much more holding. Torrez, he was being warned multiple times for coming in low. He was a much smaller man, but he was making himself a smaller target. Referee wasn't having any of it, and that was right throughout the fight. But as a result of some of his sort of coming in head low, he did actually sustain a couple of small cuts. One sort of on the eyebrow, sort of towards the left-hand side, and the other just below the eye, but it didn't really have too much of an impact or anything like that. But he did have a few running repairs there that the doctor did take a look at. Might have been in round 2, but the third round, it wasn't the barn burner, and I wasn't sure how this one was going to go because that round, not a lot happened, a lot of holding. Overall, it did appear that Jalolov landed a little bit more, that he just did a bit more work. Richard Torrez was finding it hard to land with any authority in that third and final round. Did get a couple of shots away. There was a nice body shot. There was one left hand, but Jalolov was working the jab. He was landing some left hands, and there was the odd hook in there as well. So I thought, well, this could be anyone's round, but I thought maybe Jalolov nicked that final round, and so too apparently the judges. Not sure what the end scorecards were for those judges for that 5th round. I didn't catch that, but he was obviously declared the winner. Highly entertaining fight, a lot of back and forth. It was not all Jalolov's own way. He didn't, get the stoppage, which he got a couple of years against Torrez. Torrez, from what I saw, vastly improved from that World Championships a couple of years ago. But you'd expect that. He's now a couple of years on, 22. He's been developing and seemingly only going to get better. So I'm going to be discussing some of my thoughts on the 4 Olympic medalists on Patreon. So you have Bakhodir Jalolov taking the gold here, Richard Torrez, who I guess to some, it was a surprise that he got this far to the gold medal match. Khamzhebek Kunkabayev was expected to get that far. Ultimately, Torrez did knock him out of the tournament. And Fraser Clarke, he was the other bronze medalist with Khamzhebek Kunkabayev. So it looks like Fraser Clarke is going to be turning pro. Richard Torrez, I'm sure he'll have some suitors as well. And Khamzhebek Kunkabayev probably going to be at cruiserweight. But more thoughts on that on Patreon. But Bakhodir Jalolov, he dropped down to the amateurs a couple of years ago at the request of his country. He had that early pro career. He's with Ludabella. He's dropped down and basically won everything in sight since, and now an Olympic champion. What'd you make of it all? Did you enjoy the fight? Did you think the right man won? I think there will be some, who think that maybe Torrez was hard done by. Maybe Jalolov should have had a point taken for holding in that last round. Drop a comment loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.